Stygian Onslaught is another brain-dead easy mode, and I wish that Hoyoverse would make something challenging for once. Said no one ever. Now that I have your attention, which I know I do now, it's time to talk about this game mode properly. Yep, they did it. Oh, if the objective was to make something challenging, they did that, I guess you can say, but it's so overcooked. It is something. But before we get into that, let's just talk about the game mode itself first, right? So, what is Stygian Onslaught? Well, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not just a harder Spiral Abyss. I don't agree with that. I've heard that been said before, and that's just very reductive. If we want this mode to be better, to be good, we have to talk about it in terms of what it is, like what it really is. And I feel like when you say things like it's just a harder Spiral Abyss, that's all it is, then when the conversation comes up to improve the game, then that's the angle it's going to be framed. People are going to just say then, well, it should just be different than Spiral Abyss, instead of looking at this mode for what it is and criticizing those things. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to fall into the trap of doing that. You really do want to talk about what this mode is, so that when those conversations come up, those are the points that people are talking about, instead of just saying it's another Abyss, because those kinds of distractions happen, and when that's your framing, that's how the mode is going to be remembered. That said, what is different in this mode than Spiral Abyss or Imaginarium Theater? What angle is it trying to take? Well, one of the first things to consider about Stygian Onslaught is the fact that it's meant to be an ongoing kind of game mode, as opposed to Abyss and Theater, which kind of end once you complete them. In Abyss and Theater, if you get the highest marks, then you're kind of just through for that cycle. You don't really need to go back in again. Now, me personally, that's something that's actually always made me a little bit sad. Abyss and Theater are both monthly now, with Abyss being in the middle of the month and Theater coming at the beginning. And the thrills feel like they're over just right then and there, almost as soon as you get to it. So, from that angle, I kind of like the idea of what Stygian Onslaught is trying to do. It's the first in-game mode that's giving us some kind of ongoing busy work, and that really shouldn't be ignored. I haven't seen many people talk about that. Though understandably so, because more people right now are talking about Stygian Onslaught's difficulty than anything. And we'll get around to that too here, but I'm not quite there yet. Back on the subject of busy work though, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Genshin does need more busy work like that. Things to do in between the other game modes. Between Abyss and Theater, I mean. Because there's not a lot to do on the map once you've cleared out certain areas, and you kind of have to wait for new stories, and there's just not a lot of ongoing combat scenarios. The structure of Stygian Onslaught does kind of seek to change that, and if it wasn't for the difficulty, then I think that this would be really highly received. But its difficulty gets in the way of what I believe is actually structurally a really good mode for the game. Like, Genshin could use an in-game mode like this that we can engage with over multiple days, not just a one pop and you're done until the next cycle. Every 120 dire prestige used, which really it's just resin, but okay, I guess we gotta make a new term for everything, but yeah, for every 120 dire prestige used, you get another artifact. So that's cool, and it's ongoing, so I mean you could just do it forever. It says it has no limit. But aside from that, once you reach 1200 prestige in this cycle, you can claim one of those Dust of Enlightenment feathers from the Dire Commendation. Added with the 2 feathers you can get from Menacing and Fearless difficulties, it's actually possible to walk away with 3 feathers. That's actually not too bad, but there is a downside to this. Of course there is. I wish the dire commendation did not have a time limit to claim it. I wish it just ran through the entire cycle of Stygian Onslaught, because now we're kind of forced to try to get 1200 resin into this time period. Say if you're on vacation for a week, or you're sick, or you're just away from the game, and you come back in the middle of the cycle, that means you're going to miss the feather. Or even if you come back in the middle of the time period, that means you're going to want to cram as much resin as possible into that little time you have left. You see what I mean? I don't really like that. They should just kind of remove that timer and just say that if you can get 1200 resin in through this entire cycle, then you can get the Dust of Enlightenment. I think that would be good. That would help to further the idea too that this is an in-game mode that you can just come back and work on, like it's ongoing, because it is ongoing like it is, but the fact is you still kind of have a time limit if you want to get that feather. Especially when you consider that, new characters and stuff are going to come out, and so we are going to be trying to do things like farm the bosses and farm talent books and all kinds of other stuff too. And so having to devote 1200 resin to this in like a week or two, I forget how many days, I think it's 10 days, that can severely interrupt your planning and your scheduling for your characters. Whereas if it just lasted through the entire cycle, then you would have more flexibility. I do think that kind of needs a little bit of adjusting. I would be happy if they just got rid of that 10-day thing altogether. But I like the idea behind it, something to work toward, something that's not just one and done. Now, before we get into the gameplay of the mode and the difficulty discussion, I do want to talk about the rest of the reward structure. There are 5 difficulties and 1 super hidden difficulty. It's not really hidden, you literally just have to beat difficulty 5. But you know what I mean. First 3 difficulties, normal, advancing, and hard, I feel like most people can do as long as they kind of play the game. It's really easy. Like, I 2-shot the bosses. I was 2-shotting. It was crazy. But these 3 tiers give the Prima Gems, and I think that's okay, that's cool. A lot of people really just want the Prima Gems, but that's not everyone, I get that. And I do have to say, 150 Primos for each one, that's not 3 pulls yet, because 3 pulls is 480 Prima Gems, and this is 450. I really wish they would just give the extra 10 Primos, just to make it look better. Just to look better, But, if you can get past these 3 floors, then once you get to the 4th difficulty, things just kind of ramp up. Like they just ramp up. Even everyone that beats three floors is not going to beat the 4th. I'm just going to be straight. It's not going to happen. And that's where the first feather comes in. Or the second feather, if you've gotten your commendation feather. I do believe most players can beat the 4th difficulty, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I believe it's a cutoff. Like, I believe that's where things start getting cut off for some players. And if you can beat the 4th difficulty, then the 5th one is for sure cut off for a lot of players. Like, the 5th one, Fearless, that's my cutoff. I cannot do better than that. Oh my god. I can't. There's dire mode. I've gotten to the super secret 6th difficulty, but I haven't even attempted it because no. Nope. I know I'm not gonna do it. I know it's not gonna happen. I had enough trouble with the 5th difficulty, and I'm in ranting mode right now. So let me slow down a bit, but yeah, let's go back to the rewards real quick. The fact that the 4th difficulty and the 5th difficulty give you feathers, I don't know how to feel about that. I do like that idea, but there are a lot of players that maybe they're just not good enough yet, or they're not well built enough yet, who may still want those feathers. Like, the idea there is that it's really the veteran players and well-built players that want those feathers, the Dust of Enlightenment, because they're the ones that are wanting to, fine-tune their stats, right? But New players may want to do that too. I mean, it's not like vets are the only ones worrying about their stats. And on the converse, there are veteran players who literally don't care about their stats. So we shouldn't look at stats as being something that only vets care about. And from that angle, I don't think that we should lock these Dust of Enlightenment behind, very veteran accounts. Like, only the best of the best players can get to them. Because, no, that's not really correct. You know what I mean? But I do believe that those who get further in the mode deserve more stuff. So what I think would be a good idea here is to kind of make a selection. Do it like the battle pass, where you can kind of just select the reward you want, and that way people can choose whether or not they would want the primos or the feather early on. And if you're not good enough, that's a choice you'll have to make. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, do I want 150 primos or do I want the feather? But if they do want the feather, then maybe they'll find that that's worth it, because 150 primos is not even a pull yet. So yeah, but something like that, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to work exactly like I just said, but just a little agency there to give players the choice of maybe getting the feather would be nice. And then after you've claimed 2 feathers, the rest of the rewards are automatically primo gems. You see what I'm saying? You can kind of mix and match. You can claim 1 feather early, and then maybe that's all you want for now, and you're like, maybe I can get the other one later, but I'd rather claim the primos now, so I'm gonna claim primos until the very last stage. You see what I'm saying? And then for the dire difficulty, it's really just, I mean, come on, that's difficulty 6. And like, no one's beating that difficulty. Like, hard whales are not beating that difficulty. I mean, some are, but there's a lot of like really heavy spenders who are having trouble. And so the fact that the reward for that is a temporary skin reward, I don't mind that actually. And the reason I don't mind that is because the overwhelming majority of the player base is just not going to do that. Like, we're just not. And so it's not like we're missing out on anything permanent, right? Meanwhile, those who can beat it, they just have something to flash off. And it's not even permanent. It goes away. So they get to kind of have their brownie points, their flexing points. And the rest of us aren't missing out on anything really that tangible. So I don't care that that's the reward for difficulty 6, the dire difficulty. That's actually something along the lines of what the game should probably be doing. It feels fair to me. I don't care that I'm missing that skin, you know? I don't care. To the people that can do it, more power to you. So, all that said, let's wrap this up with the true discussion here. You know where I'm going with this. This game mode is freaking hard. Man. I lost my mind. Oh no. Okay, look, it's no secret that players have wanted hard game. We've wanted hard in game, and we've been asking about that forever. And so it's not the difficulty itself that's really the problem here, if you ask me. It's more so the fact of where that difficulty comes from. Stygian Onslaught, or at least the way this cycle was structured with these bosses, it felt more kind of like a character check. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I feel like without certain characters, you're just boned. Without Skirk, the water pump boss is just significantly harder, or at least a Scoffier. You need at least a Scoffier, but you probably want both. Like, you probably want both, to be honest. And on the lava rock boss, whatever you want to call it, you need some good, like, Dendro application. You need some good Dendro and maybe some good Pyro. If you don't got both of those, you might be boned once again. All of these, dude, and the Hydro Tulpa, don't even get me started on that. I'll talk about that in a minute, though. I spent 2 days doing trial and error until I learned how to beat this with what I have on my account. And my account isn't a slouch account. I do have some investment into it. Like, it's not a bad account, okay? But I don't know what I would have done without some of these characters. And it's not really an element thing so much as a character thing. The elements matter, don't get me wrong, but even then, it's specific characters and how they apply their things in their kits that matter almost more than the element. I think that's a really subtle difference between this and Abyss and Theater, okay? Because Abyss is more of a vertical investment test, and Theater is more of a horizontal investment test. Whereas this, yes, you do need the vertical investment, but whereas in Abyss, it's kind of like as long as you vertically invest in any characters that match the correct elements, you can get through it, you know? So my Noelle works when I need Geo just as good as my Navia almost. My Navia works better, but my Noelle can get the job done, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. In Abyss, it's vertically investing and being okay as long as you have the elements covered. Here, it feels like you have to vertically invest in the actual unit, in the actual characters instead. It's not good enough to have characters that match the element. You have to have characters that match the element and have kits that can get the job done. Like they if not, you're screwed, man. Oh man, holy crap. I think a good example is the water pump boss, the Panoply. In Abyss, when I need strong cryo, I feel pretty confident using my Ganyu, my Ayaka, my Skirk now, anyone that's cryo that can do damage, because they're all decently vertically invested, and it's more so about just being able to form a coherent team in the Abyss, you know? But here, it doesn't matter that my Ganyu is pretty decent. The fact of the matter is Ganyu doesn't have fast enough cryo application, and so she cannot shut down the Panoply boss because, you know, you have to keep cryo constantly applied to the thing or it gets in its active state, and the more cryo you apply to it, it shuts down. Like it shuts down. And so characters like Escoffier and Skirk are really good here because of how fast they apply the cryo. It's not even about the damage at that point. It's about literally how fast they apply cryo. In this reason, and like for this reason, a moderately built or even just a scantily built Skirk will probably be way better than a Ganyu in this fight, just because Skirk can actually apply cryo like constantly with her attacks, you know? So it doesn't even matter that if you had like a super duper good Ganyu, it wouldn't matter here. You still want your Skirk in this case, even if she's not as well built. That's the weird thing I'm saying here. It's not the element, it's the characters. Like, it doesn't matter. You could have such a good Ganyu or such a good Ayaka, and your little built Skirk, like your brand new Skirk, is probably gonna do better by default, just because of the boss's design. But then they had to go above and beyond and give it this passive where if you use a Night Soul Blessing state anywhere near it, then it goes into this forced counter-strike mode and it starts shooting these like hydro pumps down at you, and they hurt a lot. They hurt a freaking lot. And that just makes it even more difficult because it reduces further who you should bring here. I mean, I guess you can bring a Natlan character with Night Soul points, but I tried that a few times in different setups, and it's just not worth it. Because that Counter-Strike mode it goes into, and those hydro pumps that start shooting out from the sky, they just hurt too much. I'm sorry, I can't deal with that. So it just further reduces who you can even bring here. Like, let's just say you did want to bring, I don't know, Movika here so that you can apply some pyro and maybe get some melts going or something. It's not worth it. And I know it's not because I tried that, and that's it hurt. It hurts too much. Oh man. So yeah, it's really restrictive. Like you have to really be on point, or you just don't win it. And that's just a panoply. But the lava dragon statue, or whatever it's called, is really no different. I mean, you kind of need really good ninja application and really good pyro application, one or the other, because it's just, you're not going to be able to really get it to build up that meter or whatever, and you're not going to damage this thing. You cannot damage this thing unless you really are just constantly applying pyro or dendro, or in the best case both. Then they constantly apply. And that's why characters like Malika are really good here, once again, but also Emily and Kanich. You need these characters, man. Like, you're gonna want one of these characters. I don't know who does this without having one or two of these characters. Like, I don't know what you're gonna do, dude. I'm sorry, but... And I mean, sure, there are substitutes, like, you can have Xiangling, you can have Nahida. There are substitutes here. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but I am saying it's going to be a tight fight, because I can barely get this done with this team. I can barely get it done. And then the fact that the thing does a lot of damage if it hits you. So I'm sitting here like, well, I tried to use Bennett and it wasn't working how I wanted it to, because Bennett's also not helping to apply enough. And so I ended up with Toma. I had to use Toma to do this. So that, I guess that's cool. But anyway, moving along from that, then there's the Hydro Tulpa. And oh my gosh, this is the one I got stuck on the longest. This fight took me so long to do because I was searching for a team that can deal with everything that has to be done in this fight. One, it's a Hydro boss with Hydro Aura because it's made of Hydro, which means none of your Hydro characters matter here. It spawns those little mini Tulpas that heal it if they get within its range too long, and it heals for like half its health bar. And so those little, man, ooh, those little things, man, I'm having a moment here just thinking about them. Yeah, those little annoying little things, I swear, you have to deal with them. And also, there's a point in the fight to where he goes into his ward mode, and if you can't take out his shield in time, he literally just one-shots whatever character's on the screen. Unconditionally. It doesn't matter how much HP they have, it doesn't matter if they have a shield on, it doesn't matter if you do your burst animation to try to, get some invincibility frames. It doesn't matter. Like, when he does that one-shot, whoever's there is dead. So, yeah, you need enough DPS to be able to break that shield fast. And so, Pyro is what's, advised here. And, of course, the answer would be Malika. But the problem is, and this is what's difficult here, she's already used in my Dendro team here, and if I put her here, she can't be there because characters can only be used in one team. You have to have 12 unique characters. And I'm already having enough trouble with the Lava Dragon statue, so I don't know what to do about that, right? And also, when I tried her here, I just wasn't doing enough damage anyway. Like, she's supposed to be the answer to this, and I still wasn't doing enough damage to it. So I'm like, well, if that's the case, then screw it. I'm just going to put her on the other fight. Why am I going to get a headache over it, So that left me with few options here. I tried several things. I tried freeze comps. I also tried to beat the Panoply boss using Ayaka and other cryo characters, and tried to move Skirk over here to the Hydro Tulpa, because Skirk is strong, and I actually did beat the Hydro Tulpa with Skirk, because, I mean, she has the DPS to do it, she can take out the little Tulpas, the small Tulpas that heal it, she can do it, but then that left me without a strong enough character to beat the Panoply. So I had to put Skirk back over there and continue to find an answer until I landed on just my brute force Navia team, dude. Like, just straight up brute force Navia team. And even then, you see there's a Sit Lolly sitting in this team, and I'm going to talk about that too, but the reason my Navia team works so well is because this boss, he has a Hydro Aura, right? And so anytime you attack it with Geo, it's gonna give you the crystallized shards, and Navia wants those. Not only that, but my Shallonen I ran is C2. I have C2 Shallonen, and so what that means is that there's just always a universal Geo buff going on. And not only that, but my Shallonen is wearing the Cinder City, which you generally wouldn't want to run against a boss who has an always on aura for an element. But since it's Geo, then the Cinder City always activates, which means that Cinder City buff does matter here, and so that's useful. And then the Chiori also works as well, for various reasons. For one, she's taken advantage of all the Geo shredding that's going on and everything, and not only that, but since Navia has some time down between her skill, it's good to fill out that space with normal attacks, and since Chiori's little tomatoes or whatever do the damage, coordinated damage with the attacks, then you're getting extra damage in there, right? And my Chiori is C2, so that helps as well. And so it's all working together well. Shallonen is actually shredding Geo for Navia and Chiori. It's just a lot of Geo damage. And the fact that it's a Hydro Aura doesn't really matter so much since I'm running the team like this. But there is one other element to this team, and I said I was going to come back to it, and that's the Sit Lolly. Dude, this is because of those little mini tulpas, those half tulpas. Nothing is more infuriating than these things healing the tulpa. That's one reason I wasn't even able to clear this with Malika when I tried. Like, no character can kill those things. I don't know what you're supposed to do about those. It's crazy because every element seems to not work very well against it, except for Cryo. You can one-shot these things with Cryo. And that's why I have Sit Lolly on this team. So I can just run up to the darn tulpas and just smack them once and run away. That's literally her only function. Or it's even easier once you get her state going, because if you can do that, then she gets all those cryo swirls around her, and then all you have to do is run in range of the little mini tulpas, and they get tapped. They just die. So, but yeah, she has a place on this team. That's not a mistake. Like, I cannot kill those little things. I don't know what it is, but and it's even more annoying because even with her, if I'm not angled right, I'll try to normal attack them and she'll turn around and attack the big Hydro Tulpa. It's like, dude, no, hit the mini Tulpa in front of you. Oh. But anyway, yeah, I was able to do it, but it took a lot of trial and error and moving this character to that team and that character to this team. In the process of this, I ended up pulling out Changyun, trying to, build up enough cryo application for the Panoply. I was like, what if I just choose a fast normal attacker and choose Changyun, and I just can smack the thing super fast using cryo attacks, since, Changyun gives your character cryo infusion. Didn't work. Almost did, actually, though. It was actually pretty smart. It was a pretty smart tactic, but it was still too short. But I don't know. And in the process of this, I ended up C6ing Bennett. Like, that's how desperate I got, dude. We're talking years and years of C5 Bennett just over, just like that, because it drove me to doing it. And then in the end, Bennett wasn't even used in any of these teams. Oh my gosh. My final teams didn't even use Bennett. But that's just the amount of desperation this mode forced me in. Like, it's really hard. I think this could stand a little down tuning, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, especially since they put one of the feathers behind it. You can get 2 feathers. You can get 2 feathers kind of easily, I get it, but come on. This one, ooh, it's tough, man. It's tough. And I haven't even tried dire difficulty because this gave me so much trouble that I literally know the outcome. Like, I know the outcome. I don't have to try it. But yeah, if they just didn't make the bosses and their auras so specific that you felt like you have to use specific characters, again, not just elements, but characters, then this would probably feel a little bit better, and I think people would be receiving it a little bit better. But those auras they put on the bosses, man, like the Panoply boss not allowing you to use Night Soul Blessing without getting blasted from the sky. And then the lava dragon boss statue thing. I didn't even talk about this, but it's still true. If you use Hydro or Cryo, you get punished. Yeah. It says after taking Hydro or Cryo damage, it will return to its higher resistance form. There are so many good characters you may want to use, but it's like, nope. And so you're kind of just stuck with the rest of the elements, and that ends up coming down to Pyro and Dendro. It's just crazy, man. So, what do I think about Stygian Onslaught? Well, I am happy that they have released this mode. We do, once again, like I said before, we do need a mode that gives us not just a burst of activity, but some prolonged activity. And I'm glad it's in the game, you know? I don't complain about that. That's cool. The reward structure could use some realigning, maybe. I feel like it's okay to give players who can't complete level 4 and level 5, I feel like it's okay to give them feathers. Maybe make it selectable, and, you know, something like the Battle Pass, I don't know, but it doesn't have to be locked behind level 5. Especially the level 5 one, that's brutal, but... but I do like the way that the other feather, the third feather, is something you can work towards. Cool, I love that, that's awesome. But I do wish that there wasn't a 10-day timer on it, because that's going to get messy when we're trying to build characters, and we're trying to do more than spend our resident farming artifacts. But the difficulty, oh man, it can stand to be reduced a little bit. It does not have to be quite as difficult. Maybe dire difficulty can stand to be what it is. Again, I don't care about dire. That's fine. Dire it's okay, okay? And again, even the reward for dire isn't anything tangible. It's like, it's just a weapon skin, and it's temporary at that. I think it's fine if that's the whale's playground. And I'm not even a non-invested player. I have constellations, dude. Like, my Shinha is C6. And that was like the first run she ever had. And not only that, but my Navia is now C4, which I got that over, I think, 1 initial run and 2 reruns, I think it was. My Chiori is C2, my Shalonen is C2, my Malvika is C1. I have constellations, and I also have a lot of signature weapons. Now, I don't do R5, or I don't even do R2, but never. That's never gonna happen. But, I mean, I feel like for what I've put into the game, that should be sufficient. You shouldn't have to be a C6 R5 in order to beat everything. That should not be the case. And I believe that if they just tone it down just a little bit, they can make something that's still challenging for everyone, but not quite as brutal. And also, they need to kind of chill out a little bit with the character specificity, because if you don't have certain characters, you're just not gonna do it. I really feel that way. I know there are people out there that can, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I'm talking about like 99% of people, you know? I'm not talking about that 1% of people that are the exception to the rule. But still, I'm glad to see this. Stygian Onslaught, it's finally here. I do hope that it goes through a few changes, but I am a little confident that they will do that. They did give Imaginarium Theater some changes, and now it's a better mode, so I guess we will have to wait and see, but for now, that's all my thoughts on Stygian Onslaught. It's a tough one. Ooh, man, it's tough. Whoa. Got what I asked for, I guess. Oh, man, I got what I asked for. Gee whiz. Oh. I guess now I'm about to go and spend some resin so I can get my other feather. Here we go. This was a long one, but I hope you enjoyed it. Peace. Maybe they were right about excessive anxiety.